Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's your man, Rap B, coming at you live and direct. This is built for this network from Late Rent Loud Music Studios. This is the End of the Bench podcast. Thank you for tuning in. It's going to be a blast as usual. Shout out to Benita Whitfield. Thank you for supporting the show. Please hit that like and share button. Obviously, you subscribed, and if you haven't, please do. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the End of the Bench. You know how I start each and every one of my shows. I send out blessings and protections and respect up to my ancestors, and they send down protections to me. You know how this starts. You know how this goes. You know how I do this, and that is everybody in the Whitmore, part of my Whitmore family, connected to my Whitmore family: Paula Bailey, Harper, Turner, Cotton, Chris, Lansdowne, Liggins, Duncan, and the Williams clan. You know that's me, my mother, my father, my brothers, and my sisters. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, it's on. With that being said, as I say every week, this is a podcast. The reason I say that is because I always get people walking up to me or talking to me and say, "Hey, man, I missed your show last week." It is impossible to miss my show. This is a podcast. It can be caught on Spreaker, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, Deezer, iHeartRadio, and Podcast Addict, or wherever you download podcasts. So it is utterly impossible to miss my show. So this is on 24/7, 365. Thank you again from the Late Rent Loud Music Studios. I am Rap B. Shout out to everybody who tunes in. Background listeners, shout out to Michelle Smith with one L. Shout out to Joe for coming in. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for the support as usual. Well, this has been an interesting week. And what I want to do with this week is this. I want to put us in a situation to where, as we know what's going on as members of this community, we need to know and talk about the things that are going on that could affect us on a daily basis. And the reason I've taken a change is because we have a million sports conversations. A lot of other people are doing it, and it's become mundane. And in an effort to stay up to date, up to the minute, down to earth, and talk about the things that will hit home, what I will do is continue the End of the Bench. That is my brand. That is what I've created. That's what I am duly invested in. But what I will also do is shift gears and go in another direction. That direction takes me into the Black Power space. A lot of people don't respect that space, or a lot of people don't pay attention to that space because because of the world we live in. It gives it a negative connotation. Now, at this point, I don't really care, and that may sound arrogant or that may sound dismissive, but it's just the honest to God truth. I don't care how you take that, because just because I'm pro anything don't mean I'm anti anything. It's just at the end of the day, I have to do what I think is best for me and my folks. And in the effort to do what's best for me and my folks, I'm going to bring you information that I think is pertinent so we can keep our heads on straight and focus and keep up with the goings on of America and throughout the diaspora, right? So with that being said, I want to talk about, one of the things that we have been fighting for years, for hundreds of years at this point, 158 years to be exact, since the Great Emancipation. And we've been fighting for since we were bought here in 1619. And ever since we've been colonized on our home continent or whatever. Since we've been emancipated and people made, the United Nations made slavery a bad thing and blah, blah, blah. Everybody who's been hurt in the history of the world receives an apology, so to speak. And what that apology actually is reparation. You're trying to repair the damage that has been done by an entity or a person, right? And reparations is something our folks have been arguing and asking and demanding and going through hoops and every adjective you can use to say, "Hey, give us what you owe us." At this point, you got people on the other side of the fence. "Hey, we're not responsible for that. we didn't do that, yada, 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 this, that, and the third. But the question I would ask is this. If you know anything about history, you know people have been made whole financially or an attempt to make whole financially every time there's been something done wrong. The natives have received assistance financially and would be apology and given land grants and things of that nature. People that they call Native Americans, the people that they call well, you know what? You don't have to go too far back. The people who are known as the Jewish community, due to World War II, they've received reparations on several occasions. One of the reasons they received reparations on several occasions is this. The Nuremberg laws, the laws that Adolf Hitler used to wreak havoc on a community, wreak havoc on a nation. Those people studied the behaviors of the Jim Crow segregation laws here in America, and then inflicted all type of pain and tyranny on the Jewish community. And they, to this day, receive reparations via the United States federal government and other entities throughout the world, right? You did? So when you're looking at something like that, what's the problem with us getting reparations? Why is it such a fight? Why is there so much pushback and things of that nature? You know, people want to do trauma comparisons. Oh, well, you're not doing as bad as these people over here. We're not doing as bad as those people over there, and this, that, and the third. You know what? At the risk of sounding like a jerk or heartless or non-empathetic, I don't care about what's going on over there. I care about what's going on in my house. I can only control what's going on in my house, right? So the reason I brought this up is one of the biggest stories in the last 6 months has been right here in my home state of Illinois. The state of Illinois, Evanston to be specific, Evanston, Illinois, the very first suburb you go to when you go to the north side of Chicago. You go to Howard Street, you go to John Quill, and once you turn that corner, you are in Evanston, Illinois. You're no longer in Chicago. Depending on where you are, once you cross Howard, you may into Evanston, Illinois. It is a very liberal town. As you drive through it, you see Black Lives Matter signs and things like that. They make it seem as if they're extremely progressive, right? And I'm not doubting if they're progressive or not. It's not my place to doubt it. I'm just saying, this is what's happening in Evanston, Illinois. As you go into Evanston, Illinois, you realize one of the alderwomen, or alderperson, she has a bill, and she's presented the case for reparations, and it has been approved. Of course, you have pushback, no matter how liberal or open-minded people seem to be. It seems to be a problem anytime it's time for us to get a cut of the bread, right? But this bill was approved, and what they're going to do is use tax money obtained via marijuana sales to give out reparations throughout the city of Evanston to the people who have been discriminated against over X amount of years. I think the town is like 100 years old at this point, 120 years old. It's not as old as Chicago, but whatever. One of the things that trips me out about this is you have to look. It's always the devil is always in the detail, right? When you're dealing with us, it's always a trick to the situation. And one of the tricks that seems to be bothering me is this. Everybody in the town who's eligible for reparations will get it in the form of a housing grant of $25,000. And one of the reasons they use this is one of the reasons for this grant is because of redlining. Redlining, if you're not familiar with redlining is the inability to obtain generational wealth. I'm just going to break it down simply. One of the easiest ways to obtain generational wealth is this. Buy a home. If you buy a home, most of our grandparents bought their homes between $14,000 and $20,000. Those very same homes are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars now if kept up properly. And even if they aren't, what you can do is go and renovate them, and then they will be worth that. Why is that the easiest way to create generational wealth? It's because land appreciates, property appreciates, and as things appreciate, you can obtain wealth and equity from that home. And if you can obtain wealth and equity, you can use that wealth to advance yourself. You can use it to finance a business. If you have 1 or 2 children, you can get an equity loan and pay for your children's education. and put them in a greater situation, right? And this is how wealth has been obtained, and this is how wealth has been maintained by the dominant society. And if they have laws in place so you can't obtain generational wealth, then they need to do something about it, and they need to repair that. Hence reparations. Now, I understand that good is not the enemy of perfect. We're not looking for a perfect situation. But in this Evanston land grant thing, first of all, I'm not sure if you can use that land grant to buy commercial property. I'm not sure if you have to buy a home, or what if you already own a home, then how does that work? So I don't have all the details in regards to this, but what I do have is a bunch of questions. You're going to give me a $25,000 land grant, which on the surface sounds great. This sounds excellent. We'll give you enough money to create that generational wealth. But if I was redlined, and it is, when you say redline, I want you to understand that the people who are in charge looked at a map of the cities, and most cities throughout the United States of America, and drew red lines around areas that they did not want us to purchase land in. This is an actual fact. This isn't me engaging in hyperbole. This isn't me making things up. This is an actual fact. And what they did was say, if the people in this area attempt to purchase homes, we are not going to insure those homes. And if you don't insure a home, no bank will lend you that money, which in essence, this will trap you into poverty in most cases, right? So you're going to get a $25,000 land grant, $25,000 land grant. $25,000 in your pocket sounds good. I don't care who you looking at and where you're coming from. But the problem with that is this. Who do I use this money to obtain this property with? What bank do I go through? Because the best way to do this for a municipality is, hey, here's the bank over here on John Quill. Here's the bank over here on Green Bay Road. Here's the bank over here on Dempster. It's a local bank. You're going to get a mortgage through that small bank. We're going to keep that money circulating through our community. And then, things are better for Evanston. Now you are $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in debt. When you pay that debt off, you probably get them, in most cases, 3 times what you borrow. So you 150 in the hole for either a mortgage or a refi or something of that nature. Even though land appreciates, this is the conundrum you're met with. The very same people who put me in poverty, you could potentially be borrowing money from these people in order to create generational wealth. So what you've done is conspired with people to do wrong by me. And then 100 years later, 75 years later, 80 years later, okay, we're going to let cashapp have the ability to purchase this home. He's going to borrow. We're going to give him $25,000. He's going to borrow $85,000. Put 15 down. He got 10 in his pocket to help furnish his home or support. I don't know how it's going to work specifically. And then the very bank that wouldn't lend me the money so I could create the generational wealth to take myself out of poverty will reap the benefits of 25, 30, 15, 20, 25, 30 years of interest and paying back the loan. You see why I have a problem with this? And again, I'm not going to let a bad situation be the enemy of perfect. This is good that people are getting homes, but shouldn't you be able to shop for your own situation? Shouldn't you be able to go downtown on the south side of Chicago and go to one of these black-owned banks to get that money so that money can circulate through your community? Shouldn't you be able to go to one United, the largest black-owned bank in the United States of America, and get that money? It may be that situation, but it just makes me wonder. It's problematic because you're the reason I'm impoverished. And look, if people don't believe what I'm saying, all you have to do, shout out to the homie D Great. Thank you for coming in and supporting. Please hit that like button. Please hit that share button. And please subscribe to the network, please. If you understand what I'm saying, it's ironic that D-Gray came in at this point in the conversation, right? It's this guy. He's a business mogul. He's a music mogul. He's a manager, entertainment manager. He goes by the name of Big U. He's a former Roller 60 Crip who turned his life around. He used to do nefarious activities. He did 13 years in the penitentiary. He's done a 180. He's doing great things for the community. Up until this pandemic thing happened, gang violence in LA was the lowest since 1968. Due to his influence and him working with the city and county of Los Angeles. You got to give mad props for that. But Big U grew up in a situation, and this is his story. What they asked him, why are you doing so much good for the community? He said, because I created so much hell. I'm a reformed guy, and I'm trying to get into heaven, which is insanely honest. I have nothing but respect for the homie Big U. Big ups to Big U. One day, hopefully, I'll have him on the show. But with that being said, Big U grandparents bought his uncle, his mom, and his family grew up in the 60s. Kind of like if you're here in Chicago, the 60s is like 61st, 62nd, 63rd, or, whatever. They lived on one block, and his family owned several homes on this block. Some people got ramroded out of these loans. What they were doing while the late 90s and early 2000s, while Big U was locked up, you were having people come through, the banks come through and say, hey, we're going to help you refinance your home so you can get a new kitchen, get new windows, redo your floor doors. We're going to make your house look nice. But they didn't tell the people they were going to have a balloon payment, and they were going to lose their home in the process. So now you got a renovated house. This person is out on his ass. This home was through the families. And now you out on your ass. You got your grandma homeless or living with her daughter or her son or what have you, a sister, brother, whatever, whoever could take her in. She's paid for this house, and you came in and bamboozled her, right? Big U went back because he has the means now to buy his uncle's house. This is the house that we all had that one uncle who has a very nice house, and everybody meet up at his house, and that's what cookouts are. That's what birthday parties are, and it means a lot to you and your family. A house that cost his uncle $14,000. Big U bought it for $500,000. That shows you disparity in wealth gap. And it's also an example of how when you purchase a home, you can potentially immediately take yourself out of poverty. Because if we all lived on the same block, and we all bought our houses, and we all maintained the quality of home that we do in these apartments, you bought something for $14,000, and now it's worth $500,000. You could literally take $200,000 of equity out of their home and live a solid life, and give it to your kid, and your kid pay that refinance off, and now the house is going to be maintained, and the kid lives there, and the house continues to appreciate, which makes it so your grandchildren will be in a solid neighborhood, for one. You'll have a solid tax bracket, for two. Tax bracket means money goes into the schools. Everybody familiar with the community, and when you're familiar with the community, you can go up to the school and say, hey, y'all need to improve this, so forth and so on. This is why the dominant society is able to maintain wealth, and we struggle because we don't own anything. People don't understand ownership of homes is an invaluable asset that most of us don't have because we're paying rent. We live in month to month because most societies have, for example, the Chinese have a 10,000 year plan. Other people have 3,000 and 5,000 year plans. We don't have a 10,000 day plan. And it's not a knock against the people in our community, because when you're fighting Jim Crow segregation, when you're fighting racism, discrimination, redlining, and lynching, and things of that nature, oppression by the police, and things of that nature, it's hard to see your way through. I'm not saying give up. I'm not saying it's a dead cause. What I am saying is this. This is the reason I have to keep an eye on Evanston and ask these questions. And I want my brothers and sisters up there to ask the questions that'll help them get out of abject poverty, or not put themselves in a situation to where, okay, now you got $500,000, but you didn't give the dominant society $4 million. You see what I'm saying? And This is what we have to continue to do. Look, good things they can be accepted, but they are not the end all be all. And because they're not perfect does not mean you don't accept them. You just ask the proper questions so you can put yourself in a situation so you won't be oppressed and taken advantage of anymore. That's all I'm asking, brothers and sisters and everything. And make sure you do what's best for you. This leads me to the second problem. As they're about to pass this bill about reparations so they can do the study of reparations. And usually, and I will say usually, I'm not going to say all the time, I'm not going to say most of the time, I'm not going to say some of the time. Usually, when you're dealing with a situation like reparations, because our community has been fractured, when we have people who support white supremacy that look like us, I'm not going to say these people's name because I don't need to give them any more shine. Because if I say their name, you go to YouTube, look them up, it don't do you or I any good, but it puts some more money in this person's pocket, right? But when you have black-faced white supremacists, when you have people who are lost, when you have people like in the book Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson, the educated segment of our community that think they're better than folks, and then they look down on folks. When you have that whole thing working for you, and then you have the ignorant, and I don't mean ignorant as in stupid, I mean ignorant as in misinformed, and then you just have the people who they're really not thinking about this. They're thinking about taking care of their kids. They're thinking about what they're going to cook for dinner tonight. They're trying to survive. They're not living. When you're living in a situation like that, what we need to do is create town halls. So once we continue to demand these reparations, if we get reparations, we need to be able to say, okay, this is what we want. Just imagine if I'm looking at the chat room right now, Denise Milk and Cookies. I got Bonita, who's here in Chicago, right? I got my man Joe. He's down in Houston, Texas, right? I got my man Denise Milk and Cookie, she's in Alabama, and I got my man D Gray, he's in Los Angeles. Just imagine if just those few people galvanize in each one of their communities and start having church conversations, and that church conversation grows. Well, actually, have a block conversation, and it grows to a church conversation, then it grows to a community conversation, and then it grows to a district, districting conversation, and now it's a county conversation, then it's a statewide conversation, and then now we have leadership in each one of these situations so we can determine what we're going to get and what we're going to do and what does reparations look like. See, because it's easy to sit around and say, hey, man, we need reparations for what was done to us. And then you go, well, how does that look? And nobody has an answer. See, I listen to guys like Tariq Nasheed. Shout out to the brothers Tariq Nasheed. He's been doing great things for the last 15, 20 years. Big up to him. You got people like Tariq Nasheed and others, Dr. Boyce Watkins and others, they're using this term foundational African Americans. And that means the people who are directly connected to slavery or that directly connected to the enslaved people from our past, our ancestors, right? But the problem I have with that is that's further fracturing our community. So I don't know if Tariq Nasheed has even thought of this. I don't know what's going on, but and he's an insanely intelligent and well-informed guy, so maybe he has. But this is the question I would have to the people who say foundational African Americans like Charlemagne and other people, right? Tariq, Charlemagne, I've heard Dr. Boyce Watkins use that term, and other people. Y'all do understand that at the end of the Civil War, your favorite president, or the dude who was told your whole life he was your favorite president because he freed the enslaved Africans. He's our friend, the guy by the name of Abraham Lincoln. He not only didn't want to free our ancestors from their enslavement, he also set money to the side so our ancestors can go back to Africa, because he said, yeah, it's cool that y'all over here, but this is no place for you and I. We can never live in the same spaces, right? So they created a country called Liberia on the continent. It's one of the more impoverished countries in the world. There's literally feces on the beaches. Feces on the beaches in this country. So there are a lot of people who said, you know what, I'm out of here. Enough of this. And they went back to the continent and they went to Liberia. And some of those Liberians have come back. How do you cut them in and out? See, the thing is, you got the brothers and sisters who went up to Canada, running away from enslavement. Do they get cut in? See, when we start doing that, that's why they can continue to stir this pot. They can continue to stir. So, because now is how you know you're connected. We cheated you out the land. We did that. What's up, Wilkes? I got my man Wilkes, one of my brothers from a show that we did last night. It's a dope show. Go check it out on BS3 Radio Network. My man Wilkes, big ups to you, brother. Thank you for the support. So when we continue to separate and divide, you allow the people who are in charge of the oppression, the people who are in charge of the racism, the people who created redlining, these people continue to duck and dodge and never pay for anything because we're arguing amongst each other. So I would urge you to talk to your wife or your significant other. And then I want you to talk to your family. And then I want you to go to church. And then I want you to go to the alderman. And then start creating town halls so we can have these conversations. Because as we have these conversations, we will only make things easier for us. Because as we continue to demand reparations, we do need to create some form of hierarchy so we can say, hey, I need Wilkes, I need Joe, I need D Greatest, I need Denise, I need Benita to all have a Zoom conversation, because then it's 50 people on the Zoom conversation because they're representative of each state. And if you're a representative of each state, you can say what each state says they want. And when you find out, then you get some form of consensus. And when you get that consensus, you take it straight to the bank. You see what I'm saying? Because at that point, we're living in a much better situation instead of just arguing over who should or who shouldn't get it. Because at the end of the day, this is what we're going to do at the end of the day. We're going to realize that the entire world owes us. The Portuguese. Thank you. Salute to Black Swan in the building. Thank you for the support. Please hit that like. Please hit that subscribe. And thank you for commenting. What we're doing is this. We're fracturing each other. You know, we're breaking off in these fractions, and it's not doing us any good. I got shout out to Shot Town First Lady of Sport, one of my former co-hosts on the show called Windy City Clutch. Thank you for the support. It's always good to see you. I got my man, Show Killer, DJ Mad Knox, built for this network. Thank you for the support. It's real good to see you, brother. But like I was saying, it's, you know, the entire world owes us. Our original origin is from the continent. Everything in life comes from the continent. Every man in the history of the world comes from this one woman on the continent of Africa. It's been traced back. Everybody who don't understand this, everybody who don't, I'm gonna need you to go to Amazon Prime and don't watch Nutty Professor. My man Eddie Murphy latest movie, and start looking at some of that history. Now, as you look at documentaries, understand a documentary is made for a purpose. You need to look at the documentary and then go study, because if it's made for a purpose, then there's a story that some of that story is going to be left out for white-facing people, white-facing media, so they can feel comfortable. You see what I'm saying? Now, but the reason we all are old, the Portuguese, the United Kingdom, the French, the Spanish, the Irish, and everybody else on the continent of Europe that went down there at that conference and split up the continent. And all 53 of those countries, they colonized that continent, and they colonized South America, and they haven't been made to pay for that. So while we are arguing, why should you get this? Why should you get that? These people are literally sitting up going, yeah, it's still working. It's still working, because look, everybody has had to pay reparation. Everybody has tried to take over the universe at some point. And everybody used us as a labor force. It's not even that many people in the United Kingdom. Yeah, but they have control of over 40 countries to this day. They have a monarchy over like, they just let Barbados go a couple years ago. Jamaicans still pay homage to them. The damn Haitians who whooped the French ass in Louisiana, they still have the Haitians paying them to this day. So when we kicked your ass, and because you have a stronger military than us, you're gonna make us pay you to not lose another war, which is beyond me. But I wasn't in that fight, so I'm not gonna judge anybody. I don't have the heaven and hell to put anybody in. But these are the things that we're dealing with as a community, right? So why are we doing this foundational African American versus Canadian African American? Because I'm saying American as in North American and South American and Central American. Because all you have to do is watch this documentary by the good brother Samuel Jackson called Enslaved, in 6-part series, and it shows you how, hell, 46%, 45% of the Africans that were taken from the continent and brought to the Western Hemisphere, they live in Brazil. And this is why we can't get caught. This is why we need to have a conversation throughout the diaspora. Everybody owes us, not just the United States of America, not just the United Kingdom, the entire Europe, Russia, the Slavic areas, everybody, because we are not indigenous to North America. We traveled over here even before we were enslaved. We traveled over here and we laid down stakes, and then even those people were put into bondage. So as you know this and you learn this, then you stop using terms like foundational North American or whatever. And then you understand that we need to work in concert so everybody can get whatever the hell we collectively, foundational Black Americans, foundational Central Americans, foundational Caribbean Americans, foundational anybody who's been put in bondage, because everybody had their hand in it, man. And if everybody had their hand in it, everybody needs to pay. And then once everybody's comfortable with what they get, then and only then can we start having this conversation about who should and who shouldn't get what. Because I'm not trying to hear that anymore. I'm really not trying to hear that. And again, this is Built for This Network. I am H. Rabi. This is a podcast called The End of the Bench. Well, I'm going to be talking about the issues that I deem important for the people in my community so we can advance and stop being put in the trick bag, so to speak. Next up, in disturbing news, that was a lot of people are not going to be cool with what I'm about to say. But really, I'm just asking a question. We got problematic teachers throughout the diaspora. Because even when you talk about physicians, and technicians and anything that goes on that's physically involving you, mentally involving you, why are we still going out? Why are we still outsourcing our best needs to other people and other places too, and for other things? It has been documented because when you put a big time school like Harvard behind something, people seem to respect it more. There was a Harvard study that showed African Americans that are treated by African American doctors live longer and they get better treatment. Contrary to popular belief, you can't trust no brothers, you can't trust no sisters. They always do you wrong, you know, that bro might, right? So is that the same in regards to teachers? Because all of a sudden our kids are being put on Ritalin. If your active child, instead of giving you more work to do, giving you more responsibility, like the active kid in my school, the teacher used to be like, you know what, come up here and clean the chalkboard, or hand out the books. You kept them busy. My son, one of the smartest kids I ever met in my life, and I'm not saying that because he's my son. He was a miscreant in class. He's a carbon copy of his father. And they tried to put my son on Ritalin. And I told him, I said, hey, man, they want to put you on medication, put you in there with the slow kid. Snapped him up out of it. He focused, and then he excelled and prevailed. But a lot of us are not the class clown. A lot of us did not create a chaotic situation in the classroom. A lot of us just went to school, did exactly what the teacher said, and sat down. But people like me, my son, some of my homeboys, some of your nieces, nephews, cousins, they're active because their brain works a lot faster than the traditional child. And when your brain works a lot faster than the traditional child, and you have to sit still for 8-9 hours, you probably about to jump out of your skin. And you're gonna mess with the kid to the left, you're gonna mess with the kid to the right, you're gonna mess with the kid in front of you and in back. You see what I'm saying? But the reason I bring this up is because they're always trying to medicate our kids as if it's something wrong with being an active child. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm an active child. Give that kid more responsibility. Use that energy to the best of your ability. I can remember even myself, Miss Ethel Adams, Miss Johnson, 3rd grade. Come on up to the front of the class and talk up here. Now, you don't want to talk in front of the class. You ain't really got nothing to say, and the stuff you're going to say, you can't say in front of Miss Johnson. So you calm down and you relaxed, right? I got DJ Ramon. I got Jay Fish, the microwave in the building. Thank you for the support on the Spreaker.com side. Thank you for the support. Please hit that like button, share social media, tell a friend to come in. And I got my man Kirby. He in the chat room and on the YouTube side of the game. Much love to Kirby. Mad love to you. Thank you for the support, brother. And again, please hit that like and subscribe button. Comment as much as you like. It's gonna be a trip, right? But back to people educating our children. Our children not getting the best possible education because guess what? We are not getting the same tools to educate our children. And first and foremost, they don't know us. See, Miss Johnson knew how to handle me. Miss Bradley knew how to handle me. Miss Adams, we did battle every day for 2 years, 7th, 8th grade. She knew how to handle me. Even in high school, when I acted a fool, instead of suspending me, I was about to get suspended. My Frost-Off football coach, Ray Shannon, said, hey, that's my guy. I got him. Mr. Shannon knew how to handle things. Shout out to my man, Robert Orr. He's in the building. Much love. Big ups to Robert Orr. It's always good to see you, Rob. Thanks, bro. Hit that like button, hit that share button, tell a friend to tune in, and it's on. With that being said, the reason I'm bringing this up is we get miseducated. We were taught that Abraham Lincoln was our friend. He's not. We were taught that Theodore Roosevelt was our friend. He's not. And if anybody tries to tell you that he is our friend, this is what I want you to tell them. Theodore Roosevelt was president right after he brought the country out of the Great Depression. And he ushered in what is called the New Deal. But guess what? Due to discrimination, black people only having certain jobs by and large. Yeah. Hey, Dr. Charles Drew, he was getting it in at that point. But you understand that we were restricted to certain jobs in this country. So he was not our friend because the New Deal excluded field workers and people who worked in homes, butlers, maids, field hands, and things that people cleaned up around your crib. Jobs that they deemed we were worried for. Jobs that people deemed us worthy of having. You know what I mean? So with those jobs that people deemed us worthy of having, you were not eligible for the big deal. The New Deal. The New Deal offered low budget housing. The New Deal offered the GI Bill, the New Deal. You get affordable housing loan, FHA, and things like that we have been able to take advantage of since 1970. 1970. You do understand the Depression ended in the 30s. You see what I'm saying? 1970. So my grandparents had to meet, get married, have my mom at 47. She had to grow up and at 24 have me in order to be eligible for the New Deal and the GI Bill. So it was brothers and sisters fighting for this country, fighting, killing, stealing, robbing, doing everything they could do to be the best Americans, come back and can't reap the benefits of being American. But they told you FDR was your guy. They also teach you that Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the Civil Rights Bill. And when he signed the Civil Rights Bill, see, he was looking out. You know what Lyndon Baines, I wasn't there to hold a light on the conversation. But you know what Lyndon Baines Johnson said? After he signed the Civil Rights Bill, we had these niggas in check. And this is allegedly a quote. Again, I wasn't there to hear it, but this is what was taught to me. We had these niggas in check for the next 60 years. Here we are, 55 years later, 56 years later. You do the math. Shout out to my man Michael Wade. Thank you for the assistance. Shout out to my man Ramon. Thank you for the assistance, man. It's all good. Thank you for the assistance again, man. Thank you for the heads up. I got DJ Nunu from the Truth Radio in the building. Much love, Nunu. Thank you for the support. Please hit that like button. Please hit that share button. I need my people to hear everything that I'm saying every Tuesday and Saturday going forward, and especially on Sundays. I got a new show coming out. Actually, I'm a guest, but that's neither here nor there. Now, see, these people are not educating us properly. And if they're not educating us properly, then we're not getting the proper education, and we're not excelling, and we're not learning at the rate we should be learning. And if we're not going to learn at the rate we should be learning, what the hell are we doing in these institutions of higher learning? First and foremost, the school system was not designed so you can excel. I repeat, first and foremost, the school system was not designed for you, white Americans, Latino Americans, or no other Americans to excel. It was designed The education process is put together so you get enough education so you won't kill somebody. Do you understand? That's all of it. Oh, you're going to learn and then you're going to be a doctor. No, 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 no. And I can prove this by telling you this. Lecture style teaching that most of us have been privy to, meaning a person standing at the front of a classroom preaching to you and 25, 32 other people in the class, only affects properly 20% of the classroom. If you know that style of teaching only affects 20% of the classroom, why are we still doing it? But again, we're improperly educating our young people. Abraham Lincoln didn't like black folks, as I stated earlier in the conversation. Abraham Lincoln created he was like, hey, after this war, yeah, we ain't gonna be cool, so y'all can either kick rocks and flip flops or y'all can stay here. And then after they realized, they killed Abraham Lincoln after they realized, hey, these black people, they know how to do all the work. They are the farmers. We gonna starve to death. Wait a minute. 4 years after emancipation, they are in Congress. Wait a minute. So guess what? Now all of a sudden, Jim Crow segregation, redlining, and things of that nature, the Ku Klux Klan, funded by the United States federal government. Don't believe me? Look it up. Yeah. This is a good thing about this. No one has to take my word for anything. Look it up. I'm opening. You know what I'm doing? I'm taking the cover off rabbit holes. Go down those wormholes, rabbit holes, whatever, breadcrumbs, or whatever you want to call it. Follow what I'm saying, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. I'm not going to give you any erroneous information. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to leave you out there stranded. You know what I mean? So with that being said, as I stated, George Washington, he never told a lie. Yeah, so why don't y'all tell us about how a brother taught him how to immunize himself against smallpox that saved him in the war? Why y'all didn't tell him that? How about this? The Negro Conference, like the Black Expo, that's been going on since the 1820s. Oh, the 1820s, you mean 40 years before this emancipation? 1820s? Yes, indeed. Just to name a couple of people, Langston Hughes' grandfather was there, and our great ancestor W.B. Du Bois, his grandfather was there. This is what I'm telling you. You see where I'm going with this? The education process is flawed. Therefore, we're not taking advantage of it the way it should be. And the reason I brought this up, this is problematic teacher. I think she was in Georgia. I didn't write down the state, but I wrote down. This is what she said. This woman said, don't be like Breonna Taylor, because she was hanging around the wrong people, and that's why she did. She hanging out with the wrong guys. He was a drug dealer, and that's why the police came in the house and killed him. She teaching your kids that. My kids that. Because see, ain't no such thing as, I don't live in that state, those my kids. Because there's somebody in all 50 states doing the same thing. Doing that exact same thing. So even if you hear it once, it's one too many times. You see what I'm saying? One too many times, because you're hearing this. You got young people hearing this, man. You got young people being told that Breonna Taylor is dead due to her erroneous behavior. That's a lie. Just like Abraham Lincoln is your friend. Just like the pursuit of happiness. Just like just about everything else. And again, if you really want an education, I want you to watch this documentary again by the name of The Amendment. It's on Netflix. They land on there too, but you know what? It also opens up rabbit holes. See, what they do is sell us propaganda about Americanism. Everybody American, and we get the kumbaya and hug and kiss, and we're friends. Meanwhile, they teach you about these coalitions. Well, everybody work together. I was talking to the homie Big Illinois last night, and I asked him this question. We were on the same page, and I'm gonna ask you guys this question. Let's say you get together with a bunch of other communities in your town. Disenfranchised Caucasians, white, because that's black and white, not really a construct, because nobody was black or white before they got here. Shout out to the homie, the brother on Built for This Network, #1 Chief Rocket Jersey Burn. Thank you for the support, brother. Please hit that like button. Please hit that share. I need as many likes and as many shares as possible trying to beat this algorithm. You know what I mean? But back to the point. You get together with different communities, disenfranchised white people, disenfranchised Latino people, disenfranchised Jewish people, just disenfranchised Asian people from all over Asia, right? It's only one difference when the difference when you make that change from a coalition to working alone and making sure you're okay. Here's the problem. We get together as this rainbow coalition, which I have no issue with. I don't have an issue with anybody. I ain't got time to be hating nobody. Go ahead on with that, right? Now, when I'm getting together with this rainbow coalition, this is what else I'm doing. We're getting together and we're going to get equality and we're going to get this and we're going to get that. And then we're going to take over the government and boom, it works. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, it works. We overthrow the bigots, the racists, the people who discriminate, whether it be via gender, via culture, via what you look like, whatever, right? We got rid of it. Everybody go back to their natural corners, right? The Asian people have their own culture, their own religion, their own diet, right? The Latino people had the exact same thing. The poor white people had the exact same thing. We don't even have our own diet. We've taken bullshit, excuse my language, and turned it into our diet that's not healthy. That's killing us. We're going to go back to still disenfranchised schools and things of that nature. The reason I'm bringing this up is let's get together, clean our own houses, create our own culture, our own things. Like I said earlier, when you move and with purpose, you come together. I'm on the phone with #1 Chief Rocker. I'm on the phone with DJ Knox. I'm on the phone with the greatest. I'm on the phone with Sonya. I'm on the phone with Joe. And we decide this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to teach our people. This is what they're going to learn so they can move forward, right? My man Diggy Dale. Shout out to Speaker Dale. Send out positive vibes to Diggy Dale and his family, man. I'm not going to go all into why, but hey, man, Diggy Dale, a good brother. If you stop and pray today, pray for my buddy Deacon Dale. Just say, hey, shout out, send good positive vibes to Deacon Dale. It's needed and he's worthy of it, and so is everybody else in the world for that matter. But he's struggling right now. We're gonna pray for Deacon Dale. But if you don't educate yourself, see, the reason we struggle is not because we have the pattern of ignorance and we have the pattern of deviant behavior and we're just bad people. We're lost. See, one thing about information, it empowers you. When you find out that the cotton gin was not created by Eli Whitney, because why the hell would a white man create a fucking tool to make work easier for slaves, for people who are enslaved? No. When you find out that brothers invented stuff like the golf tee, and when you get this information, you stop doubting yourself. You start realizing, hey man, I can do anything. When you find out 4 years after people were in bondage, they were running the government. When you find out, no matter, look at all this, you got a brother like Robert Church, who pretty much created Memphis, because Memphis had went bankrupt. Robert Church came through. He had a couple of whorehouses, after hour spots, but he took that nefarious activity and refunded Memphis. Guess what else he also did? He funded our sister Ida B. Wells, who were going around the country giving information about how great we are. And then guess what else he did? Those, Memorial Day this year is the 100-year anniversary of the massacre that took place in Tulsa, in Oklahoma. He helped fund some of them brothers and sisters in 1891 to 1915. 1891 to 1915. They created Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenville, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. Y'all know about. So when you find out that Robert Church is doing this in the 1800s, you mean the same 1800s, the 1800s that we were in bondage? Yeah, he was doing that. You mean to tell me, as you watching that Cleveland Browns game and you see Nicholas Chubb getting it in, that his uncles and his grandfather in the center of Georgia own the town that is still standing today, a church that is still being occupied today? We did that in the middle of enslavement. It lets you know that people telling that you less than and what things that you can't do and things you can't accomplish, that's a lie. That's in order to keep you in check and put you in a situation to make you feel less than. And this lady is sitting in the classroom with my kids, your kids, our nieces, nephews, cousins, and things of that nature as our neighbors. But see, I'm gonna hit you with this. No such thing as uncle and aunt. We are Africans. There's in no African language, there's a word for uncle and aunt. Okay? That's why you meet African brothers and sisters. They have 10, 11, 12 names because those are the names that their parents, sisters, and brothers named them as well. That's why. So uncle and aunt is a thing that was created over here. Those your kids. Those are your kids. And here's another thing. We continue to bring our culture over here, no matter if it was beaten out of us, like putting rice in our hair, braiding our hair, putting rice in it so we can bring it over here and survive. Another thing, uh, uh, that the term "I see you" it translates in the original language or several different languages throughout the continent. I see you, meaning you accomplished that. I see you, and look at us. 1,000 years later, we still using it. Most of us don't even know where it came from. It came from the continent. You see what I'm saying? So when you know these things, you do better, and that's why you struggle. You struggle due to lack of knowledge. I think it's Proverbs. There's no danger in the counsel of many. Meaning, when you get together, you're safe. When you separated and fractured, you're in danger. That's the Proverbs in your Bible. You know, the Bible that our good brothers that use the word hotel wrong, because all it means is peace. The hotel people, the woke people, that same Bible that tell you, they tell you that's the white man trying to enslave you. See, it's only going to enslave you if you don't know. My people will perish due to lack of knowledge. This is what I'm talking about. Speaking of lack of knowledge, this is why I changed my show. Mississippi. We heard the whole world. Texas, second most, Texas, California, two biggest states in America, right? Alaska as well. Two most populated states. That's why you got electoral college votes the most in those two states. You win Texas and California, you might not even have to do that now. You can walk to the presidency, right? But Texas, they lost their power, they lost their water, the whole world heard about it. Oh my God, oh my God. They ain't no power, they freezing to death in Texas. Jackson, Mississippi is going through the exact same thing since that happened. They ain't got clean water down there, they ain't got power down there, they freezing down there. And nobody's talking about it. Because Mississippi is 34% populated by people that look like me and you. Jackson, Mississippi is 87% populated by people that look like me and you. And I can't, damn, I forgot to write the other town. There's another town down there too. And I'm going to think about it. As I go through the show, I remember it. I didn't write it down. But these places, we down there struggling. We down there freezing too. And ain't nobody talking about it. But why? Why? I got my man Said G. He's in the building. Thank you for the support on the Spreaker.com side, man. Appreciate you. Why ain't nobody talking about the brothers and sisters struggling in Jackson? Because it's we down there struggling. See, again, this is why we need to create entities throughout the United States of America so we can say, oh man, I don't like the urban league. So what? Get in there and change. I don't like the NAACP. White people created that. Get in there and change. Or how about this? Create your own shit. Create your own get down and fix things. But see, all this pointing out of what's wrong. Well, you wrong, H-Rap, because it's 83% of us in that city. Okay, you said that, now what? Most of us are down there struggling. See, enough of being the smartest kid in the class, because smart is relative. Intelligence is relative. We confuse well-informed with intelligent. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to keep saying it. Intelligence is the practical application of the information that you swear by, that you lord over and hold over people's head because you're so damn smart. So if you're not practically applying that information, you dumb as hell. And you ain't doing us no good, letting us know how smart you are, how many books you read, and that type of nonsense. Okay? But we need to be getting together and putting our brothers and sisters in a better situation. Because they ain't no way in hell. Look, them folks up in Flint, we was on them. Oh man, the people in Flint, yeah, guess what? Your man Obama up there taking midget sips out the water. Oh, it's clean now. Well, go ahead and drink it, bro. I'm gonna need you to take a big gulp of it, but you did. Because you'd had diarrhea all over Air Force One. I don't want to hear that, Barack. And you pissed me off, and I ain't been rocking with you since. Besides the fact here in my city, they're doing the Obama library. You putting people out of their home so you have a library that your ass ain't never gonna visit because you don't even live here no more. And you ain't from here. But that's neither here nor there. But the folks in Mississippi are folks down there struggling, man. And hey, The people who like me, who used to be like I was, and your vote don't matter, these are the consequences of not voting. Because if we had a bunch of people in there who gave a damn about people no matter what they look like, ain't no way in hell Texas or Mississippi would have not had their power plants, water plants winterized. So these people wouldn't be out there struggling, man. And by the way, for those who don't know, you think most of our folks live in New York, Detroit, Cleveland, Atlanta, Cleveland, Philadelphia, New York, LA. No, most of our people live below the Mason-Dixon line between Texas and Florida. That's where the most black people are in this country. So when you hear about the people in Texas struggling, a lot of brothers down there struggling. Louisiana, a lot of black people, folks down there struggling. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, South and North Carolina, Kentucky, it's a lot of black folks down there. Because if you didn't know, our ancestors that were in bondage outnumbered the people who had them enslaved. But again, they don't teach you that in school, so you never really think about it. So if you don't think about it, it's not important. If it's not important, it continues to go on and continue to go on. Our people continue to suffer, and we're gonna stop that this week and going forward. Because I got pistols loaded every week with this type of information, man. No more sports for me, man. Chief Rocker, Microwave, Trey, and Vince, they got that. Miss Powell in the building. Much love. Thank you for the support. Please hit that like button. Please share on your social media platforms. Next thing. See how everything just going in play? I just spoke about voting. If voting don't matter, a lot of people, like I used to be, I got my man Chris, Big Mo, and I almost called you Chris Liz. That's one of the homies. Big Mo in the building. Much love. Thank you for the support. Check him out on Tiger Park on Sundays, man. It's a good brother. Need y'all to support him and everybody else who got a podcast. So everybody bring what needs to be bought. I want y'all to know about this bill that's being passed, that has been passed in Georgia. Since voting don't count and there ain't nothing gonna change, and see, they ain't got our best interests in order, and all that rigmarole that we've been hearing, and people like myself used to spew. But I had a different angle on it. But I mean, if I was saying it, I was saying it. Just because my angle was different, I'm still wrong. But it's called HB 531. HB 531. You know what that does? HB 531 reduced the voting places in the state of Georgia. Black people complained that there wasn't enough voting places. Black people turned Georgia upside down this last election. But guess what? They reduced the voting places. Oh, guess what else? As they reduced the voting places, black people vote, the majority of black people vote on the weekends. No more voting on the weekends. You got to damn near have an act of God. Mail-in ballots. You can't get in, you're sick, you're taking care of your elderly mom or whatever, or elderly relative. You got to damn near have God co-sign it before you can get a mail-in vote. How do we win that? How did the people in Georgia win? Mail-in votes. So you can't do that anymore unless you get God, Jesus, and 4 more white people to sign off on it. Then those long ass lines that you created again, you've created long ass lines in Georgia. And guess what? The president is elected in November. His office is being voted on in June. Hot ass Georgia in June. You can't give people water in line anymore. If voting didn't count, and this is just a game, why are they jumping through hoops so Warnock and the other cat won't be in there? Who's standing up? Who, as far as we know, don't be no fool. Because guess what? There was some get downs passed the other day. The get down passed the other day for the minimum wage. 5 Democrats didn't get down with it. You know, your friends talk about that probably Saturday or Sunday with the jaw jackers. But so we ain't got no friends, man. Ain't got no, for you English majors out there. Ain't my damn language. Let me see how well you do in Swahili, Jack. But if it ain't important, why are you taking something from it? Because guess what? If you was walking down the street and you threw with a beer or a sandwich and it was a person who was without, standing there, hey, can I get that, homie? You would throw it in the garbage, you'll get them because it ain't important to you no more. Now, if you take it from that means it's important to you, or that means whatever you're giving away could hurt you. So while we're doing this, we need to be aware of this, man. Because if they do it in Georgia, that's just a test. Because then they do it in Kentucky, then they do it in Florida, then they do it in Texas, then they try it in California. See, California, they halfway decent on this because they already understand this Eastern foolishness ain't gonna survive. And then just newsflash, it's more Latinos than anybody in California. They ain't going for it, right? But be aware of what's going on around you, is my point. The trial of the century. Chauvin. Biggest trial since O.J. Simpson, I would say. I got my man Ben for BS Street, the leader of the forecast. Check us out Monday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on BS Street Network, BS Street Radio, I'm sorry. But I think it's Derek Chauvin, or I don't give a damn what his name is. Officer, the murderer Chauvin. Jury selection is going on right now. And again, if you're a registered voter, you got to be in the jury pool. But see, what we need to be is mentally prepared for the trauma porn that I believe is about to happen. He's going home, people. If your ass rap, he's going home. I don't trust the system. You shouldn't trust the system. If you do, you're 30% retired. Yeah, I said it. But we need to be aware that, see, our ancestors continue to put this information in front of us. When you don't know your history, you damn near repeat it. The reason I say he's going home is because of this. A year ago, when this happened, a little less than a year ago, when this happened, USA Today poll said 60% of the people in the United States of America said that was wrong. That was cold-blooded murder. How could he do that? The whole world saw it, son. But guess what's happening now? It's down to 30%. 30% of the people that look at that thing, they say, well, you know, it could have gone anyway. This dude is not a killer. You know, he was within his boundaries as a police officer. So when you go home, just continue to keep your eyes on the prize, man. Keep your eyes on the prize. Look, understand you're in a fight. You're behind enemy lines, and you need to galvanize with your folks. And once we establish an awesome foundation, then we can start kumbaya with everybody else. We got to get right. We have to get right. I'm not saying don't accept any assistance, but if we not right, assistance is only deferring a problem, pushing a problem down the road. That's what assistance is. And we can't do that anymore, man. It's over for that. So be prepared for that. The biggest problem we've had over the last, 100 years has been this COVID-19 thing, right? COVID-19 is allegedly killing our folks at an alarming rate. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a scientist. I'm just going with what I'm hearing, right? That's what I'm hearing. And it's okay. Now, a lot of our folks are not going to get this vaccination. Our folks. I don't trust it because it's a virus. And what was the COVID that used to be killed by Lysol? What was the symptoms of that? But I'm not here to have that conversation. I'm here to have this conversation. Arkansas, Alaska, Mississippi, Arizona, Texas, and several other states are opened up wide. The reason I'm bringing this up is this. It looks like rich folks are out here getting this vaccination. And they're saying, okay, we cool. Because they fly into other states to get it out of poor people's hands. I'm not telling nobody to get it because, damn it, I'm not. I'm scared of this shit. But it's awful strange that rich folks are going to get it. And then they're saying, hey, man, I got your vaccination. I'm going to be a little healthier than you. Now take your ass back to work and continue to make me a billionaire. So, again, this is the result of an inability to galvanize our communities, get people who are going to work in our best interest in office, and then we'll be able to be safe in our own communities. So keep that in mind, man. Look, I ain't here to tell you what to do because I don't think no kids listen to my show. I don't think nobody had their children listen to H-Rap. H-Rap ain't PG-13. H-Rap rated double R. Almost X. You know what I'm saying? I'm profane. And I'm cutting back on that. Shout out to my pastor, Reverend Dodd. And shout out to my man, EJ. He's a pastor too. So I'm going to cut down on the profanity. But I'm not going to cut down on this information, man. Your president, the dude who, he got our back, even though he had Sister Hill back when they put in Clarence Thomas. See, I don't do that crime bill thing. Because Maxine Waters, see Dolores Tucker, Bobby Rush here in Chicago, several thousand black people who were put in office, they was with the crime bill too, pastors throughout the country. They was up with that. So I ain't finna do the crime bill, but I am gonna say, the dude Clarence Thomas, Joe Biden was in charge then. And he could have stopped that. But he didn't, because he didn't see a problem with it. Because, you know, he used to run with Strom Thurmond. Look up Strom Thurmond. See, I'm opening up these wormholes for y'all. Go down, follow these breadcrumbs, and you'll find out who Joe Biden really is. I don't trust him. Trust no politician. See, that's something else we need to start talking about. Trusting politicians. You trust your friends. You trust H-Rap. You trust your cousins, your aunts, uncles, kids, loved ones, people in your community. Because we traditionally are working in the same direction. Politicians are not to be trusted. They are civil servants. What civil meaning civilian? It is a derivative of the word civilian, servant, person who's supposed to work for you. So you ain't gotta trust him. You ain't gotta like him. He ain't your friend. He ain't your homie. Keep your damn hot sauce talking to Charlamagne the God out your purse. You ain't gotta say because your dad is Jamaican, you smoke weed. You ain't gotta be on the Who Shot Malcolm X talking about you ain't know the criminal that's everybody in the whole damn town knew. Bucker. You know, so we don't need them to be our friends. Do our bidding or get fired. But Joe Biden is standing behind this push in Alabama to unionize Amazon.com. We're going to see how much he's standing behind him when Jeff Bezos, who stepped down. See, Jeff Bezos not slick. This is opinion right here. This is pure opinion. Jeff Bezos stepped down from the CEO of Amazon so he could do the bidding and keep his face clean. See what I'm saying? Oh, well, that wasn't me. That's a new CEO. Meanwhile, he in the background pulling the strings. So if these brothers and sisters get their drawers kicked in their ass about these jobs, you know what we're going to start doing? And I compel us to do it anyway, start going back to these stores. So our brothers and sisters who work at these stores can keep their jobs. And Jeff Bezos had to give up $40 billion a year ago because he got a divorce. And from the day he gave up that $40 billion until September, to my birthday in August, he made $70 billion. So if he ain't willing to unionize and says, oh man, they make $20 an hour, I only make $12 an hour. Stop counting other people's money and count yours. You negotiated 12 and you're happy with it. But Jeff Bezos is making money hand over fist, and it's your hand putting it in his fist. So these people working in these hot ass things, and then you got positions at his company. You can't, most jobs, you get a raise, and you get a raise, and you get a raise. You max out at his place. So we're not just gonna sit back and watch this. We're gonna make people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk Elon Musk, they're gonna start paying the people who work for them. Otherwise, we're not gonna deal with them. Hey man, if you read, my man said he's not feeling good after taking the shot, got a little soreness. We wishing you a speedy recovery or a quick adjustment or whatever it takes to get you in the best condition you can be in. Said we praying for you, brother. But these are the things again that I'm talking about, man. We have to keep an eye on these things, man. Just like with this vaccination, it's like Seb's talking about. Is it safe for our children to go back in school? Let's not forget our young people are developing. Their bodies are ever changing every day. They're getting stronger because they're going some of them, they pre-pubescent, going into puberty, and they're young people. Remember that. They're developing at all times. So it's the safest place to be in the midst of a virus or potentially virus-infected place. See, a lot of people are putting our kids back in these schools because, again, we don't want to pay for that. Take your ass back in school. Get back to work. Enslave people. Enslaved to this debt. enslaved to all this stuff. But is that the best thing to put our young people back in these schools? And again, we are allegedly the most powerful nation in the world. We got the most powerful military in the world. So what is it going to hurt our government to open up the bandwidth to put our kids and keep our kids in safe places? You know, because before this COVID thing, you couldn't even say too much on TV without, what about the kids? But now put the kids back in danger. I don't know about you. Kids dirty as hell. When I was a kid, I was dirty as hell. I eat off the ground. You take a piece of gum out of somebody's mouth and just start chewing it. This is what kids do, because kids only thinking about right now. They ain't thinking about, oh, I might have COVID. They ain't thinking about that. Kids thinking about, I have a good time, and that gum look good. Let me get some. Give me a piece out your mouth. I don't know if kids still do nasty stuff like that, but when I was a kid, I seen it. I used to yell, if I drop something on the ground, nobody, I'm putting it back in my mouth. Ain't nobody saying nothing, anybody tell my mom. But kids doing that. Kids stick their finger in other kids' mouths. Kids do all type of nasty stuff. So how you gonna stop kids from spreading this deadly virus that allegedly killed over 500,000 people? So is that the best place to put our kids? I don't know. I'm just watching out for it. You got the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson combining, and they're trying to hurry up, get us back out there. So, you know, it's just amazing to me how less than a year ago, this is the most deadly thing in the world, killing people. Me personally, I lost 11 people in the last 12 months. I don't know if it was COVID related. I don't know what the hell it was. I lost 2 people last week. 2 people last week because of Ken Slaughter. So I don't know if we need to be putting our young people in a situation. My children are 27 and 23. They're going to be 24 and 28. So I don't really have that problem. But your kids are my kids. As I'm telling you, we got to be able to take on that. We got to take on that thing right there. So keep things in mind, man. We don't know what this thing is. We don't know where it came from, and we don't know how it's going to affect us. You got young athletes passing out on the basketball court. You have baseball players developing heart conditions. Here, I might have something wrong with me. You don't know. I ain't struggling now. I might be asymptomatic, but I know it might not be the wisest thing to put our kids in danger, because the kids are the future. The kids are putting us in the best possible situation to excel in the future. So now I'm talking a little entertainment, and we're gonna talk about this on Forecast Monday. Eddie Murphy, arguably my favorite celebrity in the history of the world. He was flat out cool when I was a kid. Somebody I really admired as a kid, and I still admire him as an adult. He like the big brother, who lived in another state or something. He had a movie called Coming to America come out. I'm not a gigantic fan of it. A lot of people loved it. Shout out to Eddie Murphy. The next project that he had, hopefully it's rated R or something like that. PG-13 at the worst. But the reason I didn't like it is because it was a family movie. It's not that I'm not a family guy. I'm not saying that. Y'all know I'm not saying that. But it just wasn't for me. But a lot of people loved it, man. Please watch it, download it, and tell you what, just let it run. Hit the play, let it run. If you don't like it, let it run. Run it again. I'm going to run it again at some point this week. Let it continue to be the #1 played movie in America. Because guess what? If that's the #1 played movie in America, Eddie Murphy get opportunities. And if you don't know it, according to Steve Harvey and according to my eyes, Eddie Murphy is a dude who put literally damn near everybody on in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Arsenio Hall told a story on the Breakfast Club. Just show you how powerful and how aware Eddie Murphy is. Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy are very good friends. They asked him how they became friends. He said Keenan Ivory Wayans invited him to the comedy club. He said, "Man, come on down here. Eddie want to meet you." He said, Eddie Murphy got out the car. He was standing there. Eddie was like, "Hey, man, my mother said you look like me. You don't look like me, nigga." Those are Eddie Murphy words. They became friends at that point. They continued to be friends. He said he didn't know Damon Wayans, and Eddie didn't know Damon. And Damon walked up doing this gay character. And then he snapped out of it. Everybody laughed. Damon Wayans, next time you saw Damon Wayans was in an original Beverly Hills Cop. Dave Chappelle, Martin Lawrence, Chris Rock. This is a dude. That's why I'm saying please support Eddie Murphy in that movie. I didn't really like it. Most people, the good thing is 80% of the population does like it, and I'm loving that. So we got to support the brother Eddie. We got to support the brother Tyler Perry because they're doing big things. With that being said, man, I'm about to log off. My show ain't gonna be as long as it used to be. I ain't have that much to start to, but guess what? I got another show coming on Saturday. I'm throwing some stuff, and my man Robert Orr and TC, they got a show called The Jaw Jackets under the. I got my man Newport 100 in the building. Big ups to my man Newport 100. Is he in the building? Much love to you, man. Thank you for support. Ron J from Canada, he's in the building. Much love. Hit that like button, hit that share button, please, please, and thank you. Subscribe. Now, what I'm, is just again, man. We have to put ourselves in a situation to continue to educate each other, continue to educate ourselves. And that's what I was saying. I lost my train of thought when I saw my man Newport 100, good brother. He might be doing something soon. He kind of hinted towards it. I'm like, me and Big Mo talking about Newport. Me and Big Mo talking about doing part 2 to the show Saturday. If you're available, let me know. I got to check them out. I ain't got all the details. I'll get at you soon. But man, the bottom line is this, man. The end of the bench sports is no longer. If a sports story come out, you know what? I am going to talk about this, and then I'm out. If a sports story comes along, I'm going to talk about it due to the relevance. But otherwise, I ain't talking about no damn sports no more. I don't give a damn. Sports is cool, but it ain't for rap no more. The damn name itself shouldn't be even talking about sports. H. Rap Brown. Salute to the brother H. Rap Brown in prison in Georgia, federal prison, for a crime that somebody else could confess to. They still got him in lockup. Shout out to the brother. Shout out to the brother, the ancestor Stokely Carmichael. But I ain't going to talk about the situation with Dak Prescott. Shout out to Dak Prescott. He just signed a contract. I didn't look at the details. I just know he did. Actually, I posted the details and didn't even look at it. But the reason I'm bringing up Dak Prescott is this. Everybody's scrutinizing our brother Dak Prescott for getting money. They talking about the damn salary cap. KMA. Look that up. That's how I feel about arguing about a brother's money. Because guess what? I didn't hear one word about the salary cap when this 40-something-year-old quarterback went down to Tampa last year and they gave $50 million guaranteed dollars. I hear nobody talking about $100 million they gave Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago. He 38 now, 36 or 38. So, he was going to be old too. But when it comes to these black men getting money from these damn NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball teams, there's always somebody with a microscope talking about the damn salary cap. Salary cap ain't got nothing to do with us, y'all. And for y'all who love sports, which I used to, and deep down inside, I still love sports. I'm gonna talk sports. I'm gonna talk trash today. I die about sports, but I'm just not gonna give it no airtime. But what I am gonna bring this up is this: the National Football League, NBA, and MLB. Anytime they're in contract disputes, you know what they don't do? They don't open their books. See, the salary cap is created to make you believe they're sharing things and they don't want their advantage, which is a lie. Because in a few days, these NFL teams, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to get a $250 million check, and then in October, they're going to get another. That's $500 million this year that ain't got nothing to do with television revenue and jersey sales, right? It's going to be fans in the stadiums. Watch this. But the reason I bring that up is this. The NFL used their statistics. They've leased out their statistics to Fox and ESPN. When you have Yahoo Sports and all these other entities that have fantasy football places, they have to pay the NFL for that. Why do you think the NFL wouldn't let the Denver Broncos sit out? Because the fantasy numbers would have been off. And then it's people who don't know anything about football, don't give a damn about football, who winning money on fantasy and off gambling. And the NFL is getting a cut of that. So, look, how about this? Dakota Rain Prescott took the job of one Tony Romo. And then Tony Romo retired. If Jerry Jones had anything that resembled a damn brain in his head, he would have signed Dak Prescott to a 5 or 6 year extension that day. Or once he played that season out and Tony Romo retired, you were supposed to sign Dak Prescott to an extension. And he would be making $25 million now. Or even probably less because he was a 4th round pick and Dak would have went for it. Because I was in the 4th round. I got a contract for 3 more years that y'all got to pay me on, and then you're going to give me another 75, 80 million in extension. He'd have took it. So none of that empathy for some fucking billionaires. If you have enough money to finance your own stadium, finance a little shopping center outside of your stadium, the dude in the Rams, he got the damn his wife got more money than Brinks, so he paid for his own stadium. Y'all got enough money to put $1 billion into a building. You got enough money to get these dudes their money. So I ain't trying to hit that, man. So stop falling for the banana and tailpipe with that sports thing, man. It's fun, and that's it. These dudes richer than a motherfucker, and they tricky you. And that's why I had to stop talking about that goofy shit. With that being said, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in to the End of the Bench podcast on Built for This Network. Shout out to No One Chief Rocket, Jersey Burns. Shout out to the First Lady. Shout out to DJ Mad Knox, Big Illinois, Joe from Houston, Buster, DJ Purplelicious, Mooka Dean. That's my crew on Built for This Network. We in this together. Shout out to everybody who has a show. Me, Wilkes, Dog, Ben from BS3, another extension of the family. Shout out to the homie Big Mo, man. Anybody who got a show, shout out to you, man. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. I'm bringing this heat twice a week, every week. Tuesday, Saturday, I'm bringing this heat. We're going to talk about social issues. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world. I'm going to interview people. I'm going to get it right, man. You know, you ain't never going to be able to tune in here and say, hey, man, it ain't what you need, man. I'm getting what you need, man, not what you want. So, man, salute to everybody who got a show on here. Tune in, keep tuning in. Sister DJ Red Beauty coming on in about a half hour, about 38 minutes. After that, you got my man Mandela on and his wife. It's a super dope show. It's a whole lot of fun. We're going to have some fun. We're going to cut up Act Food. Y'all know Act Food on there every week. And, man, just continue to do your thing, man. Send a prayer out to my homie Deacon Dale, man. Deacon Dale's a great person, man. Funny dude. He's a family man. Support him, man. Send that positive energy up there to Baltimore. We're praying for you, Dale. And look, man, Saturday I'll be back. Sunday I'll be on here with the homie Robert Oil and TC. They gonna do it under my umbrella, but it's really their show. It's called the Jaw Jackers. They invited me in. Super dope. I want you to support the homie. Watch my page. Support the homie EJ with Collective Perspective. 7 o'clock, 7:30 in that range on Sundays. Man, we trying to enlighten people. We're trying to put people in the right state of mind, man. It's a great conversation from great people. Kelvin, Dave, my man Robert Orr, he gonna be on I'm gonna be on his show on the Jaw Jackers with TC and my man EJ, man. Sometimes they invite me on, but I'm watching every week. No matter. They talking about a wide range of things. I think Big Illinois will be back maybe tomorrow, maybe. You know. And if you want to continue to help with the production of the show, support of the network, hit that cash app, the End of the Bench, THAENDOFDABENCH. I want y'all to do me a favor, man. Go to my website, thaendofdabench.com. Subscribe to the joint, man. So when I start selling this merchandise and everything, I can just hit you with an email blast. Continue to support the network. Hit the subscribe, hit the share, man. Y'all already know I got to send salute and shout out to the homie, the ancestor, the Combat Jack, Reggie O'Shea. He put me on to the dream those dreams and man up a woman to live those dreams. Because life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in technicolor surround sound. I'm taking that on as my mantra. He overseeing this. Shout out to everybody in the background who chose not to hit that like, but you did. You came in and hit that like button. Thank you. If you're watching and didn't want to create get down, please come in at some point. Just show some love with us, man. This your man H-Rap, man. This Built for This Network. We in the building. This the End of the Bench podcast, hosted by myself. Man, thank you guys for the support. And as I say every week, stay on top of things, because if you ain't on top of things, you're on the bottom. Holla at your boy. 2 fingers, 1 word. This your man H-Rap, and I am out.